All right, so this part of the video is about all of your forms you're going to make have to have some form of transportation. Typically, that's going to be a wheel. It doesn't have to be a wheel, but a lot of you might incorporate wheels of some sort into your drawing in some way. And remember, anything round can be considered a wheel for mobile transportation. So the first thing I'm going to do is just draw on this. So we establish where the rectangle lives. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw on this left side, guys. So I'm going to use my ruler here and line up my paper down here at the bottom, make sure it's straight. And I'm going to draw a line right through here. Okay, this is the corner that's closest to you, and everything again is derived from a rectangle. Second thing I'm going to do is draw a diagonal in this direction. And I'm going to draw a diagonal in this direction. And the reason I'm doing this almost evenly on both sides is because the eye level, which I did not establish in the beginning, is about right here. The reason being is because if you look at these spokes right here are almost a horizontal line, like a straight line. And then right between here, right in the middle is the eye level. So the person photographing this is probably about, their eye level is right here. That being said, if I were to follow this line here and continue in that direction, the vanishing point would probably be about, actually if I put this here, it'd be about right here, if that makes sense. And then what I'm gonna do is put another line right here, and that's on the edge of this tire, or bike wheel. I didn't connect it to that yet. What I'm gonna do now is establish where this vanishing point is. And I guess I'll just go in the same kind of a direction. So it's probably gonna be like around here. It's not easy to figure out where this vanishing point will be, but this is where, since it intersects this line, the horizon line, that's where I'm gonna make it. If it's a rectangular object, it's pretty simple. You just follow the lines. When it meets the horizon line, the eye level line, then you know that's it. In this case, I kind of have to make it up a little bit. Actually, I'm going to use this. So that's kind of my vanishing point there. In some cases, you can just attach a piece of paper. And you can see I'm taking this back line right here, and I'm going to attach the vanishing point there, and it looks something along the lines of that. Something like that. I'll go with the top one because the bottom one was, they need to converge to one another. So it's probably gonna be like something like that. Now I'm gonna take the exterior part of this tire right here, and I'm going to draw a line, but again, I'm just using the bottom part of the ruler, making sure it's parallel with the paper, and I put a line in. Now I take this other opposite corner over here and I connect it to the vanishing point there. And that's all I needed to do. I take this other opposite corner here and connect to the vanishing point there. So you can kind of see how, oops, I just hit this with my knee. Stop moving. Okay, you can see the rectangle that this wheel lives within. I could do the same thing for this guy, but in this case, I don't want to do that. All right, so I'm gonna put this on the left side. I'm gonna draw here. And what I'm gonna do is use this guy. I'm just gonna draw my horizon line, which again is my eye level. And I'm putting this one in the middle of the paper. Reason being is I'm going to draw I'll just put this in the center somewhere. Draw my first vertical line straight somewhere in the center-ish. And then I think I'll go about this high. And I'll keep it even. I'll go about this low. So those are the 2 points. And I'm gonna make a vanishing point the vanishing point here looks pretty even on both sides. So I think it's safe just to do this and do this and just kind of keep them somewhat, even if they're a little off, it's not a big deal. The perspective will live within the vanishing points that I determine now. I'm not trying to replicate that, I'm just using that as a source. This goes over here, goes to the right vanishing point. This one goes over here, goes to the right vanishing point. Again, you can see if it's a thin sliver, so I'm just gonna put this line right on top of the line that exists and just kind of do one of those things. At this point, I'm gonna take this line here, connect it to the left vanishing point. Take this back corner here, connect to the left vanishing point. And wherever I wanna end this tire. Now again, remember, this is where things get tricky. A perfect circle comes from a square. This is a perfect circle, otherwise it wouldn't rotate perfectly. And it comes from a square, but a square going back in perspective, mathematically you can do it. It's just a really difficult thing to do. It's a lot of process. I'd rather have you just kind of visualize what you think a square would look like. So what I usually do is I'll just say, maybe if I put a line here, and then I could draw a tire in there just to see, be like, does that look round? Maybe I'll just go a little bit more. Just give it a little bit more of a width. So I think I want to go with that one. So what I'm gonna do again is, and it's kind of more of an intuitive thing. If it's way off, your tire's just gonna look really odd. But again, this is a drawing, it's in perspective, it's gonna look slightly odd anyway. So I take this back corner and I bring it to the right vanishing point on this side until it intersects this line here, and then I'm going to drop a line straight down. So you can see that, that's weird. Should have dropped a line here. It should have been thinner. That's what I'm saying. Like, this should be thicker, this should be thinner. So that's why I was a little weirded out about that, but that's fine. I'm doing this quickly. It's not going to work out perfectly. It should probably even be thinner than that. Not a big deal. I'm just going to lighten this line a little bit so it doesn't compete with this exterior face that I want to start to draw. So next thing I'm going to do is going to use my green, and I'm going to cross my corners. So I need to start to think about the wheel itself. So I need to cross my corners here, cross my corners here of that plane that's facing or closest in that direction. I'm also going to cross the corners of the plane behind. And this is where people get really confused because there's so many lines and they get confused and whatnot. So it probably doesn't benefit me to do that for a video. So I'm going to erase this and just go with my first cross corners. And then talk about how you would just do the back line. So I'm gonna emphasize this again. The reason I wanted to show you that though is what you do to the front side, you do to the back side. And if you look here, you have an ellipse here, but you also have another ellipse here. You just can't draw one and then just wing the next one. You have to draw it as if it's within that rectangle first. So you have to basically draw two of them. And again, it's a lot of process. So once you cross your corners, you find your center. That is the left vanishing point that you're gonna dissect it horizontally, and you're also gonna dissect it vertically. Right here. Once you do that, I'm gonna use, I'm not gonna, I'll use this right now. Use my orange. So these stay the same. These points. I like to put dots on those so I remember they stay the same. The diagonal lines don't. What I'm doing, I'm basically, remember I just like quickly drew an ellipse there. The system, which does help, is if you divide the space between this center part and this corner in half, and say it's like right there, and then you divide it in half again, and say it's like about right there. It's not an exact science, but it's close enough to give you a guide on how to start to make this curve, and I'll explain that in a minute. So again, I'm going to do this on all four corners. So I'm going to half it here, then I'll half it again here. And these 2 points is what I'm most interested in. The halfway point is not important right now. It just helps you find the important point. So there's that one. Halfway point's here, and there's the third one. So what I'm going to do now is connect them, but I'm going to connect them with straight lines real lightly. Well, not that lightly because I want you to be able to see it in the video. And I suppose this is why I didn't do the back part of this, to not confuse you. Those are too many lines, but you will after you finish this side. So again, this is a really plain old tire. It's not going to look like that. After that, let's see if I can jump to a different color. Then you can kind of soften this out. Softening it out meaning that you're just going to add a little bit. It's going to kind of graze the sides there, go through the corner. Oops. Oops. And then you just kind of go down there. So that's how I create that circle here. And again, you have to do the same thing on the back part. And I'm going to try to do it really quickly. How much? 11 minutes? All right. I'm going to do that really fast now. Again, I'm going to use, I think I'll just use the same color that I used before. And this is where you really have to pay attention and, and follow your lines. It's the center here. Basically, it's right on the same center, so it's using that same line anyway. But I have to draw the vertical line here. There we go. And then I'm going to put these little dots in. Dot here. Dot here. Dot here. And see, you kind of have to follow it. Dot here. Gets a little tricky. That's the parameters I'm working within. Remember, it's getting smaller as it goes this way. So my next move is I go from the center, which is here, to the corner. That would be half, and that would be half again. Okay. Center to the corner. This is about half, and this is about half again. So I have these I have that side complete. Center to the corner, and don't get it confused with this one, really pay attention. Center to the corner, half, and then half again. Center to the corner, half, and then half again. And then you're going to connect those lines using a straight edge, like I have here. And I do not lift my eyes up off the surface of the paper, because if I do, I will lose my place. And it happens at times. Sometimes you just make a mental error. And then it goes right here. So you can kind of see that this tire is going to get smaller as it goes back in space that way. Well, I'll explain that in a minute. Let me not get ahead of myself. So then after this, then you can get your other pencil, go through the point. Center. And you might question, why is it smaller than that one? Again, it's going back in space. And then after you do that, see the highest most point of the circle, the two circles? I'm just going to connect them just like so. And then the highest most, or the lowest most point of these two circles, I'm just going to connect them like so. So this would be the tire itself that you would see, and this is the other side. Now, I do recommend lightening the other side. Just so it goes back in space. The other thing, you know, if you want to put these spokes in, which really doesn't seem to be that difficult, there's the center, I forget what that's called. Whatever. Area there, and then the spokes connect to it. Well, you already have these lines kind of crossing, so what you could do is, I'm going to use this again, and this again. I'm just going to put it clearly back in there. But you could divide the space in half, and then go through and divide the space in half here, and then just go through and then divide it in half again, and then just by adding these spokes all the way around. It might not be as perfect as that, and again, these spokes, I think, come from the center of the tire, right? And then they come out, but there's a way to do it. You can just use what you've already had. There's a lot of work you've already done that you can just utilize that. The other thing I wanted to say is if this is a tire and there's one on the other side of whatever you're drawing, say this is an automobile and there's, you know, the bulk of the car right there. The other side of the other wheel would be on this side. So you would just draw the same exact thing on a smaller scale. Using the same vanishing points. And then basically this line here dictates how wide this is. And if you keep working with perspective, you'll notice how quick it can be. So then the thickness of this, though, that's something I'd have to just kind of invent and make up. And I'd be like, all right, if this is that thick, then this is just going to be a little thinner. Maybe something along the lines of that. That's something that isn't easy to figure out in perspective. So you can just kind of make that part up. I'm fine with that. It's funny because you would think this would be smaller, but I think the angle that we're seeing makes it larger. So that's fine. So then you would do the same exact thing here. You would have a wheel and whatever is in the middle and holding this thing up. So you can kind of attach wheels wherever you want to. I just want to kind of show you the process of doing so. You have to start off with the rectangle and work your way down. You cannot just throw in a rectangle and just be like, hey, that's good enough. No way. All right, see you later.